Welcome and thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm Daniel Davis. As many of you have followed us through the years, you realize one of the things we try to do is to help people become more empowered about their health, their mental stability, and the possibility of seeing the future in a brighter way than most of us actually feel when it comes to being in midlife. We try to find ways that we can relieve stress, increase our energy, and just feel overall more relaxed about the day-to-day things that happen around us. Many of us have heard that one of those paths that have been around for centuries is that of meditation. That's right, where you sit silently, you breathe in and out, and you quiet the mind to get rid of all the chatter that's going on upstairs. So we first engage in this process, realizing the potential mystical qualities that it might bring for us, but as many Westerners know, we also tend to find that it isn't quick, it isn't easy, and well, I'd like to rather be doing something else besides just sitting in a corner in the dark, perhaps with a candle. Joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program today is a meditation coach. That's right, somebody who can come along and mentor and kind of guide you into the direction you want to go, where you can learn about how you can experience meditation and how she can provide through private consultations a way that you can become from a novice to overcoming obstacles and go into the more experienced and deeper areas of meditation. I'd like to welcome to the Beyond 50 radio program today someone who's been doing this for more than 30 years as a licensed massage therapist as well since 2000. She's going to be talking with us about how she can coach us to become meditation experts. Judy Treehouse, thank you for joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program.
Hi, thank you, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Now, tell us how you became interested in this. 30 years as a meditation coach, I understand. That's pretty phenomenal.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, not 30 years as a coach. I've been practicing meditation
for 30 years. Okay.
For 30 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm rounding it. My birthday's coming up in a couple of months. So 30 years, almost 30 years I've been meditating. So I learned to meditate at the age of 18. I was taught transcendental meditation by my dear friend Dan. And transcendental meditation, in case you don't know, is using a mantra, and you repeat that mantra. It's one phrase or one word while you sit with your eyes closed in the quiet. And I started meditating every day. I wanted to quit smoking cigarettes, so I started meditating twice a day. And I used the mantra, I am strong, and it really helped me, and it helped me quit smoking. Mm-hmm. So that was my first change in my life, and success through meditation was really helpful. I also wanted to mention that, yes, I'm a licensed massage therapist. I've been practicing massage for 15 years, and in that also practicing Reiki energy healing. Mm-hmm. And while I'm doing those practices, while I'm doing those treatments on people, it's very important that I have a presence with my clients. So doing that healing work has also been a type of meditation for me. Meditation really is about being present, mm-hmm. being as fully present in this moment as you can be.
It's pretty interesting, too, because I think a lot of times when people discover meditation, it could be in their late teens, early 20s, and it's generally introduced from an Eastern thought process, and so they read about or hear about from people who might be out speaking about this, about all these mystical experiences that they may have, and so they decide, hey, this sounds like it's pretty groovy. I think I'm going to go in there and see what this is all about. But then after they sit there day in and day out, they realize, well, I'm not having these kind of experiences like I heard, so they can find themselves sort of putting it off and getting around to it when they have time. But the fact is it's something that the more you do, the deeper, more profound the experience becomes. Have you found that to be true?
Absolutely. So the thing is that just like, well, when I talk about the benefits of meditation, there are many benefits. Mm-hmm. And the mystical experience is one of them, but it has a vast a very wide range of benefits. So the thing is just like taking a vitamin or exercising, it's an accumulative effect. If you take one vitamin, that's good for you. If you take one every day, even better, and the benefit increases over time. If you exercise once a week, that's great. If you do it twice a week, even better. If you exercise every day, again, the effect is accumulative over time. I find that what really gets in the way of people having these so-called mystical experiences is actually going into meditation with an expectation that they're going to have some kind of particular experience. And so I want to help people let go of sort of the paradigm of the thinking of this is what should be happening, the shoulds that we do on ourselves and our experiences. That actually gets in the way because you can't force a mystical experience. You can't try to have a mystical experience.
Right.
It's a gift. It's a gift.
Now, that's probably one obstacle, but what sort of obstacles do you see as people come to you saying, this is really something I want to do, I want to have it almost become an automatic habit, for, I guess, the lack of a better analogy. So what are some of the other things that kind of trip people up to becoming more consistent in this practice?
Well, becoming consistent, I kind of heard two questions because there are obstacles to even getting started, and that's where I first got my idea about helping people, because I'll tell you how I came up with the idea of doing private consultations is that I was attending local 12-step meeting, and the 11th step is thought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood God, praying only for knowledge of God's will for us and the power to carry that out. And as we were studying the 11th step, I heard person after person after person say, I want to meditate, but, I can't sit still. That's a good one. I can't meditate. I want to meditate, I want to meditate, but I don't have the time. So people create obstacles really in their thinking. The can't sit still obstacle is real. If you have ADD, you tend to want to fidget, or ADHD, and some people have a lot of kinetic energy. So with that particular obstacle, I would work with somebody with how do we get you to a place of, calm, and yet still validate and support that need to release that kinetic energy. And there are several different ways that we can do that. As far as consistency goes, once you've gotten started, I really think one of the things that keeps people from sitting down is that there's this thought that, like, you're moving through your day, you're having your breakfast or whatever, and then you're just going to stop and sit down. And for me, what helps me is to have what I call transitional actions. So just like anything, when you're moving from one part of your day to another part of your day, you're waking up and getting out of bed, you're going to make coffee and take a shower, and, before you go off to work, or if you're getting ready for bed, you're going to, get into your pajamas and have your cup of tea or whatever. So I encourage people to come up with some kind of transitional action that moves them from where they are to sitting down and being still. Because it can be, transitions are difficult for people. I think that's one of the greatest obstacles really, is that people, once moving, want to keep moving. There's that whole momentum thing. And the same thing works, though, once you start sitting and you start feeling the benefit of that, it's easier. You remember each time you do it, and you go, oh yeah, that actually felt really good, and gosh, wow, I'm focusing a little bit better today, or I'm feeling a little more calm today, and you start to notice the benefit. That helps with the motivation to do it again and to sit down again. And I create a space. I have a unique, what's the word I want? A space where I sit that's only for meditation. That's the other thing that's really nice, is I have this beautiful space that I've created that when I see that space, I go, oh, that's beautiful. I want to go be there. I have a bell that I ring each time I sit down to meditate. That helps, kind of like the Pavlov's dog thing, It's like every time I meditate, I hit that bell, and that bell goes through my ears to my brain and reminds me of what I'm here to do. And it takes me just that much quicker down into that quiet space.
Mm-hmm. I think it's fascinating, too, because we always hear about, well, if you want to relieve stress and unwind from a very noisy world, meditation is one of those things that you can go and do. But as you're clearly stating, that the more you do this, the more you begin to quiet that world around you down, even when you're in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, and because really the only goal in the moment is to be fully present in that moment, to become more fully present in the moment. And you can always become more fully present in the moment. Depends on where you put your awareness. And, I've done some Buddhist, not training. I've learned a lot about Buddhism in my life, and one of the ideas is recognizing the miracle of this moment, or noticing how gravity is pulling on your body. We walk through the world, we don't notice it. It's always there. It just is. But that fullness of the moment can expand. And so as you practice that, and you're walking through your day, and you're sitting in traffic, and you're late, whatever it is, you can stop. I've been doing it a long time, and so I take a breath, and I'm like, okay, what's right here, right now for me? What's here? It's sort of a question, and it's a beautiful thing to be with the question. And an idea that I think is true is that it's a really good way just to approach your life, is with a sense of curiosity of what's here now, what's true right now, and be open and allowing. Yeah.
Sort of to see what happens next.
Yeah.
I know as a host for years, one of the things that makes this such an enjoyable way to be in the world is that you have the opportunity to listen to people, their stories, things they can share with the world, their special gifts, such as yours, to be able to coach people to meditate, to create this as a regular part of their life. But one of the most important things is that as, let's say, a host, that you may come in and you ask a question, but then you might have, let's say, the outlook of what you want that answer to be. So even though it seems like it's an open-ended question, answer it, there's sometimes a motive, and you hear this a lot in journalism and in the media in general, that the host really isn't listening. But the fact is over the many years as I've learned to do that and see, well, what's going to happen next? And as you said, some of the most miraculous things become, to the light, if you will, and you realize, wow, that was better than I could have ever expected because I stepped out of the way. Would you say meditation is kind of a way to help us to do that, to step out of our own way?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I'm attempting to do with people when I sit down with them and we talk about their obstacles, again, with a sense of curiosity. What's that coming from? How true is this that people say they don't have time, Well, we all have 24 hours a day. We all have the same amount of time. And we choose what we do with that time. And we make time for the things that are important to us. And how much time do we spend on the internet? How much time do we spend talking to friends on the phone or whatever? And really with meditation, you can sit down for 5 minutes and it makes a difference. 5 minutes can make a difference. And so the obstacles that people put up, I think in general, are resistance to change. I think that's really the bottom line. And so what I want to do is help people make that easier. And I don't even remember what the question was that you asked me.
Well, it was about meditation, actually, getting out of our own way, and you're actually answering it very nicely.
Thank you. Absolutely. And again, the expectation is also gets in the way. I had a client come to me, and he's been an experienced meditator, and he wanted me to help him find his Zen. It was interesting because when I asked him, I said, "What does that mean to you?" He didn't have an answer.
We seem to hear Zen a lot this day and age, don't we? What is this Zen moment? I'm perfectly Zen. Really? Well, could you describe what that is? Because if you can, then you're not really there, are you?
Exactly. It's like, what is it that you're looking for, you know? Yeah. I had a friend also say once, I had this most amazing mystical experience in meditation, and then he's like, years have gone by, and I've wanted to feel that again, and I just can't get there. And I just thought, well, it's because you're trying, because you're not being in this moment, you're being in that moment back there. And that moment is never going to happen again. And the only way you're going to have that next mystical moment is by being fully right here, right now, in this moment, and allowing and just being with what is, and recognizing the miracle of this moment. So we get caught up in oh, I know what that feels like. Maybe you could have another mystical experience that would blow that one out of the water. Huh? What about that? Maybe not. I don't know, but that's the whole point, is that sort of being with the question. There's power in being with the question.
I know when you mentioned Zen experiences many years ago, my son and I were out golfing, and it's been a lot of years since I've golfed. And to me, when I approach the game, I go out there, my attitude is, this is a walk in a very nice park with something to do. It really is. And you want to be good, you want to make your par, or preferably, under par, whatever it is. But, I'm under no illusions that I'll be on the PGA circuit competing against Tiger Woods. But anyway, so I was saying, if you have at least one Zen moment today, all 9 holes will be worth it. And generally, that's usually what you get is one. Sometimes if you're lucky, you'll get a couple of more. But for me, the experience has been at least one. And one good Zen experience is worth the 9 holes. And then he simply says, well, Dad, what's a Zen experience? And all of a sudden, off in the distance, you heard this guy shouting in reverie. And I said, that's a Zen experience, and you're going to have one of those today.
Nice. There's a perfect example right there.
Well, and the truth is, too, is you go out and you'll do something, let's say on the golf course. And I think I love the game because most people who are able to stand up and swing a golf club can play the game. They really can. It's not really a complicated game. You get from point A to point B in as few strokes as you can. Of course, there's a lot of obstacles in the way, but that's what makes that game kind of great because it's non-competitive. You really compete against yourself, And the fascinating thing is there'll be that moment that you'll do this shot and it works out in a way that you would have never imagined. You could have hoped, but not that how you had imagined. And that's the Zen part about it, because you find that you've lost yourself. It sort of spontaneously happened, and then you came back down to earth and went, wow, how did that happen? That's the Zen moment. No, that's an impossible thing to recapture.
Right. Right. And your Zen moment, I don't play golf. So I may not experience a Zen moment on the golf course. But thank you for helping me understand why it's such an attraction.
Yeah,
why people love it.
You don't even need expensive clubs either. And nobody can wait to get to that 19th hole, and that's usually where the bar is. So, anyway, as people come to you, have there been common things that people find as obstacles as to why they don't continue and deepen their meditation practice?
Well, one of the things that I may have already mentioned, but really the most common is about thinking that there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it.
Like that full lotus position nobody can ever get into?
Oh, my God, that's so funny you would say that. I was just going to tell that story. I had a person come in, and she was a large person and had issues with her hips. And she was telling me that she got down on the floor to do lotus position, and she couldn't get back up. I was like, honey, no, you don't have to sit in lotus position to do meditation. But people get ideas in their head. This is how you do it. And, so the right or wrong way, that gets in the way. People are like, I don't know how. I want to tell a story because it was one of the most important moments in my education on meditation. I was blessed with the opportunity to sit with and meet Amma, the mother guru from India. And there were, 300 people in the room. And she's talking away. It's a very, very strong accent. I really had a hard time understanding what she was saying, but this came through crystal clear. She said, I want to teach you the secret of meditation. And everybody leaned forward with rapt attention, and she said, sit down, close your eyes. That's all. And just like me laughing, it still makes me laugh, the whole room burst in uproarious laughter, and you could feel the whole room shift in like, relax. The secret of meditation is sit down, close your eyes. That's it. I thought it was beautiful. And actually, you don't even have to sit down, and you don't even have to close your eyes. There's so many different approaches. And that's one of the reasons why I felt called to offer this service, because I could see that there's this gap between, the need and the desire to do meditation and the education and the support that is available to help people do that. In fact, I picked up a magazine that is a reputable magazine, and it had on the front meditation and all these subtitles or whatever about, different techniques and all that. And I thought, I better read this. This is what I do. And I opened it up, and I'm reading this article, and it's all about discipline and challenging and difficult and hard, and it's just I was like, no.
Started to create the very resistance that we're trying to use meditation to get away from.
Exactly. It was it does not have to be difficult. And I think that's one of the misconceptions that people have. It's it's this arduous, I have to force myself to sit here, and my mind is racing, and I'm not doing it right, and what am I doing here, and all that. And it's just no. That doesn't have to be like that. It can be very sweet, very simple, very easy, and you don't have to do it every day. One thought I had is when you're sitting down alone, who's there to judge you? Who's there to judge you? You're sitting by yourself. And there's no one there to judge you except you. So why do that to yourself? Let yourself be what you are. And like you're saying, if you can get yourself sort of out of the way. But I encourage people to withhold judgment, even if their mind is racing, even if they can't really sit still. There's several techniques. I mean, there's walking meditation, there's yoga, there are ways. You don't have to close your eyes if that's a problem. If for some reason it helps you to watch a candle or look at an image, keep your eyes open. Maybe that's easier for you. There are ways to get around or to even use the things that feel like obstacles maybe really aren't obstacles at all. Maybe it's okay that you move through your meditation. Maybe that's okay.
Mm-hmm. I think that's so true, and I love that you pointed that out, and I agree with you. I believe the biggest obstacle is, are we doing it right? And we seem to live in a society where, because of the fact that we were raised and we went to school and we were told this is the way you do something, if you don't do it, you either get a bad grade or you go to the principal's office. And I knew many of my principals over the years by their first names, their families, and usually a lot of their relatives too. That's how much time I spent at the principal's office. But still, I decided to go out and kind of find my own way, if you will, and make those mistakes. But there's something very enriching about, as you say, transcend that and just find out a way that you can start a meditation practice that's very yours. And I say, there was a book that I got many years ago. It was actually on Zen training methods and philosophy. And they talk about the fact, or he did, is that meditation was very simple. He says, it really concentrates on the breath. So really, in essence, he's saying, if you can breathe in and out, then you can meditate. And then it simply went to the point, now what you do is you simply breathe in, count 1, you breathe out, make that 2. Then eventually he says, now breathe in, and then as you breathe out, that's 1. So now you're starting to stretch that the in and out breath is 1. And then eventually he says, start imagining, the rolling of an ocean. And I started breathing deeper as I would image this, and it was just amazing. It was almost like that rolling of an ocean started massaging my mind, and it became quiet. Thoughts would come and go, but that's how they were. They were very ethereal, sort of like those light clouds you see on a summer day. And I realized as I would be out in the world, and it didn't take long to really experience this, that those little things, those petty little irritations, maybe somebody honking at you in traffic or somebody saying maybe the wrong irritating thing, those things just didn't bother me anymore. And I thought, wow, if I kept doing this, how much further will this take me into that infinite, continuous moment known as now? And it sounds like that's what you're describing here.
Yeah, that's the goal, I guess you can say.
She's got great candles for those of you who decide to show up and have her coach you, I'm telling you.
Say that again?
I said, and you have great candles when you decide to be coached by her in her office. Candles they can look at, I'm sure.
Oh, sure. Well, what I'm doing, so one of the thoughts for me, I guided meditations are beautiful, lovely work for people. I've experienced guided imagery that didn't really work for me. And so part of my thought process in this is that a person needs to do what works for them. And it might, be uniquely for them. If somebody said, imagine, being in the ocean, well, maybe this person, almost drowned when they were in the ocean. Maybe that.
Or they watched Jaws one too many times.
Exactly. Maybe that image doesn't really work for them. So I don't do guided meditations with my people. What I do is talk with them and show them, and we will talk about, overarching concepts. We'll talk about monkey mind. What do we do with the monkey? So we all have this monkey mind. And so I like the metaphor of can't get rid of the monkey, but we can give it a toy and go put it in the corner, make it go over there and play. We can learn how to train the monkey, but the monkey doesn't really go away. But knowing that, it's then we can work with that. We all have these great, big, highly evolved brains. I think we're still learning how to use them. And part of that is, what do you do with that part of your brain that is thinking? We have this thinking brain, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's part of our divinity. We are, as human beings, we are divine, just like we are with all our emotions. The Buddha had sadness. The Christ had anger. We're going to have difficult feelings. It's the emotional part of our brain is the very, very center of our brain. We cannot escape an emotional experience. We can't. So then what? So meditation can help us be with those difficult emotions and move through those by being present with them, and giving them the space that is required. You know, when we resist, I mean, we probably all know this, when we resist and run away, it just keeps chasing us. It isn't going anywhere until we can be present and actually be with it. It's like, now you can go, kind of a thing. So, meditation is not about escaping the human experience, and emotion comes with that human experience. But it is about learning how and practicing being really present and honest and compassionate with yourself when those difficult things happen. Somebody once suggested, they're like, so can you sit down and in a few minutes, help a person come to peace and joy. It's like, if I could do that, the world would be a different place. Right?
In other words, they're surrendering their responsibility to become peace and joy and saying, why don't you help me do that?
Yeah, I can't give that to anyone. You have to give that to yourself. Mm-hmm. But, if you've had a death in the family or whatever, you're going to have grief, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean that somehow you should not feel that. It's okay to feel that. But I like a metaphor I recently thought about, which is the clocks in my house that tick very loudly. I've got analog clocks through my house, and however, during the day when I've got music playing, friends over, whatever, when I'm busy and things are loud, I can't hear those clocks at all. They don't exist. They're out of my awareness. They don't exist. But at the end of the day, when the house is quiet and I'm sitting still, I can hear those clocks ticking, and they're loud, like tick, tick. And it's like, I thought about that in terms of that deep inner peace that we have that's always there for us, or that deep wisdom. We may not always be able to feel peace at all moments in our life, okay? Because we are going to have sadness and or anger or whatever, just like the Buddha or Christ. Emotions, it's okay. But when you get quiet and the noise, you settle that, get into that quiet space, it's there for you. Those clocks are always ticking. Those clocks are ticking even when I'm having a dance party or whatever. It's like when things are loud and hectic, those clocks are still ticking even though I can't hear them. I'm completely unaware. And when you get quiet and still, there it is. There's that still small voice. There's that wisdom. There's that peace that lives. And I do think it's possible to have sadness and still feel a sense of peace. Mm-hmm. I do think it's possible to have difficult emotions and still have sort of a core that is connected to higher power, center of the earth, whatever you want to call that. And I think that meditation helps you grow that and become aware of that and strengthen that. We all have it.
It seems like, too, the way you're describing it is meditation helps you to connect with that immovable soul, that part of you that's really grounded and realizes that you are a soul having a human experience, not the other way around, and knowing that that's always there, as you said. It's always accessible. All you have to do is choose to access it. It's always there. It's quite reassuring to know that that's within your own hands.
Oh, yes. Amen. Yes, indeed. It's a beautiful thing. Life on this planet. Yes, it is.
And she's the meditation coach who will help to take you there. Not take you there, help to take you there.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Now,
It's
your practice is your practice is in Portland, Oregon. Are you able to work with people by phone or Skype or anything like that? Because we're finding more and more coaches are able to. I don't know. Or is this something they really kind of need to be in your area and be at your space, so to speak, to make this more effective?
I'd be happy to coach people over the phone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I like meeting people and seeing the faces. You know, that's my preference. Just because, and actually when people come to see me, I can show them my altar space and my transitional actions that happen. I don't just sit down to meditate. I light a candle, I light sage, and I smudge, and I ring my bell, and I always have a little glass of juice to have when I'm all done. So there's like actually 5 steps to my meditations, and I like to show people, it's like, here's this beautiful space. And it calls to me. Like when I look at that space, I go, oh, I want that. I want to go there. I want to be with those beautiful things. And I know that when I sit down there, that I'm going to feel better. Meditation is soothing. It really is. It's so easy and quite miraculous. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much time we have, but I did want to mention a study that's about the science of the benefits of meditation. And it was in 1993 in Washington, D.C. They took a large group of people to meditate in the center of the city where the crime rate was really high. And before they started the experiments, the chief of police was like, you know, if you think you're going to get a 20% drop, the only way, this is what he said, the only way you're going to get a 20% drop in the crime rate is if you get 20 inches of snow. So that's what the police chief said before the experiment had started. So for 2 months, a large group of people meditated every day in this area with the intention of, you know, exuding peace and calm, and with the idea to drop the crime rate. And more people, as the 2 months went by, more and more people gathered, and I'm sure they weren't all in one room. There's over 1,000 people before the 2 months was over. But in a 2-month period, the crime rate dropped 23% in that area. And it's online. I encourage people to look it up because it's quite amazing. It's quite miraculous. So we have individual benefits. The benefits are completely tangible. I, in 2006, was in a car crash and had a traumatic brain injury. And I learned more about the brain than I ever really wanted to know. But I'm so glad I learned it, because what I learned is that meditation helps heal the brain. And how it does that is that it calms overactive parts of the brain. If you have anxiety, there's a part of your brain that's overactive. Meditation calms that. It also stimulates underactive parts of your brain. If you have ADD, your prefrontal cortex needs more stimulus. That's why they give stimulants to people who have ADD. Meditation stimulates those underactive parts of the brain. So what it basically does is it creates balance, and it's kind of a reset for the brain. It's not like a button. It doesn't happen instantly. But over time, it's going to calm down those overactive parts and stimulate the underactive parts and basically just heal your brain. It's just really good for your brain.
Now, listening to you describe it makes me feel more encouraged to tell our listeners out there to get down to see you.
Thank you,
Now,
Daniel.
is there a website people can find out more about where you're at and what you're all about?
Absolutely. My website is Meditation Explorations, .weebly, WEEBLY.com.
And we'll be sure also to have a link on our newsletter as well as our website for people who want to find out more in case they didn't get all that down. But one more time, go ahead and give that out.
It's meditation explorations.weebly.com.
Very good. Judy,
and my email is on there and my phone number. You can call or text me.
Very good. Well, Judy, thank you so much for joining us here on the program. I haven't felt a sense of relaxation after a segment as I do now.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. I had a very nice time. It was very pleasant.
Very good. Thank you again for joining us here on the program.
Thank you.
So the benefits of meditation for those of you out there, besides relieving stress, how'd you like to move into more creativity, happiness, calm? It's all there, and it's always been within you. It's just a matter of making the choice to access it, and meditation is certainly a journey that will help you get there. Another journey you can take is to visit us at beyond50radio.com. That is the number 50. We have our exclusive e-news updates. You can also find out more about Judy Treehouse and her work there, as well as you receive our exclusive weekly e-newsletter. I'm Daniel Davis. Thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to the Beyond 50 radio program, and remember, live your day past halfway.